G'day, I'm Daniel. I've designed, developed and manufactured these little odometer screens for an Alfa 916 GTV and Spider. So what I thought I'd do today is just make a little quick video just to take you through the prerequisites before installing this, along with just a bit of a detailed description as to what comes in the kit itself, and finally just the features that this has and how to access and use the menu. But what I'll do is I'll kick off by just telling you the prerequisite. There's probably two prerequisites before you install this or before consider installing it. And that is you'll need access to a soldering iron. Two wires need to be soldered to the back of the main board of the dash. It's a really straightforward installation. If you've ever soldered before, it's actually quite simple. If you haven't soldered before, you could probably get a local phone repairer or just local repairer in general to do the soldering for you. As I said, it's probably about a 5-minute job and pretty straightforward. What I will do is I've developed essentially a training video and step-by-step guide that takes you through the whole process of everything from removing the dash to testing it and putting it all back. It doesn't actually take very long to do. It should probably take most people roughly around an hour to actually install. But once again, worst case scenario, if you don't have a soldering iron, you can probably get a local repairer to do it. And the only other prerequisite would be around just the brightness of the dash. You need to have your dash set at least 20% brightness when your lights are on. And what that basically means is for most people that if you've got any form of brightness on your dash at all at night when you turn your lights on, so being able to see speedometer and odometer, if you have any form of lights, these things will work fine. It's basically the only issue will be if you have your lights all the way down to zero or your brightness all the way down to zero on your dash. This essentially won't work. The menus won't be able to access. You'll need to turn the brightness up to be able to access the menus, and this won't dim when you go and turn your lights on. But said for most people, by far the majority of people who usually have their brightness set to anywhere from really up to 100%, it won't be an issue at all. So what I'll do now is I'll quickly take you through the pack and what you actually get in the kit itself. Okay. Just take you through the content of what you get in the kit itself. So there's a few things in here, so I'll quickly take you through what you get. Basically, the first item is the patch lead. So the first batch that I do will come with this patch lead. Future batches will come with a lead that just taps the wires that are required for the screen to work. It won't change functionality, it's just a bit of a different way of installing. And what I'll do is I'll probably end up adding these as an optional extra if you want to get the patch lead instead. But basically the way this works is, this is probably the simplest way, but the old harness just plugs into here, that goes into the dash, and then this just plugs into the sockets on the board for power and data. And these wires here get essentially attached to these two wires here, which then get soldered onto the board. And what that means is you can then, essentially, if you ever want to remove this screen, you can leave the two wires soldered in and remove it if you ever want to. And what the bit of tape there is just to essentially tape these two ends together just to make them really secure, just when it's behind the dash. So along with that, you'll get the screen as well. All the manuals are accessible online, so I'll have a QR code that actually just takes you to where the manuals are. And basically, the screen is just in here. Once again, I'll have instructions for all this on how to install it all. And that's the screen there. Basically, it's got a USB-C on the back of it as well. So if there's ever a firmware update, you can always just update it. And once again, just before you finish installing, just remove the plastic protective one off the screen, and they'll be ready to go. And that's the content of the box. Okay, I've just finished a quick drive, but just thought I'd quickly show you the average speed readout before I turn that off, because it will reset after the engine's turned off. So just on the bottom right hand corner, it's basically saying 32, and that essentially means that since the engine's been turned on, I've traveled an average of 32 kilometers an hour. That'll change if your vehicle runs in miles an hour. It'll automatically read out miles per hour, but it'll essentially just read out your average speed. Now, just to quickly take you through the rest of the menus, essentially to change any of the menus such as the layout, you start with the engine off, and you just make sure that the lights are turned off. So just your light switch there, turned off. Okay, access the menu, turn the vehicle on, and toggle the lights switch 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And that will then bring up a menu here. Now you do that as soon as the splash screen shows, and then you can change your layout, and I'll change it to large for the moment, and you just toggle it once and you leave it. And now large layout set, and you'll see that it's now in a large layout, and that's larger than the original. All right, so I'll show you again from here. This time I'll change the logo. So essentially turn it on, wait for the splash screen to turn on, flick it 3 times the lights. It'll give you the option of layout. This time I want to change the logo on, so I toggle it twice and leave it. It'll then jump into the menu, and I'll go Alpha. I'll change it to the Alfa logo for the moment, and I'll just leave it there. And then it'll essentially just say logo saved. And now when I turn it off and turn it back on, it'll open up with the Alfa logo. So as I said, to enter the menu at any stage, you just toggle the lights 3 times during the splash screen. And as I said, just wait for the menu to time out. All right, well, there's a quick summary of the odometers themselves and what they do and what you get in the pack. The only other thing I'll say is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, these are firmware upgradable as well. So as I said, if there is any bugs or any updates that happen, as I said, they're pretty easy to actually update from a firmware perspective. I'm really looking forward to getting those out in the market. Looking forward to getting your feedback on it. When I sell them, I'll likely sell them with a screen, and potentially with the choice of an additional screen for those who can't choose or want a couple options for colors as well. So as I said, just keep posted for that. I'll keep you posted on that. But once again, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and I'll try and answer them for you. Thank you very much.